All right, good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started here this evening as we prepare for the 2023 Weightlifting State Championships in Lakeland at the RP Funding Center. This is your coaches meeting for the upcoming state championships. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight as we go over some important information. I've got two important people here on the Zoom with me, Bobby Johns and Deke Story, and I will turn it over to them here in a minute. Just want to go over a couple things. Polk County, we want to thank them and the RP Funding Center, along with Polk County Public Schools, Dan Talbot for being our host at the RP Funding Center, and also weightliftingscore.com for our live scoring and their help throughout the state series and the regular season to make sure your weightlifters are getting the best experience possible. One thing I do want to discuss before I turn it over to Deke and Bobby is a couple housekeeping things. There is a question and answer tab down there at the bottom of the screen. If you do have questions, feel free to go ahead and put your question and answer or questions in there, and we will answer them throughout the next hour here that we are here. And it may not take an hour. It did not when we had the girls' state championships as well. Also, one thing, the weigh-in deadline, if you're not available to weigh in on Friday at the RP Funding Center, the availability of 6 to 7 a.m. on Saturday morning is available, but that deadline to notify myself via email is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We do need to know that. We need to know how many scales and things like that to have set up in the arena before we go on Saturday morning. So please contact me before 8 a.m., 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, before 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, so we can make sure we have enough time to get that all ready to go for Saturday. And we'll be ready to go for you all. We start set up for the arena. We kick that off tomorrow and set up and all morning Friday, and we'll be ready for weigh-ins Friday afternoon. Mr. Story, are you about ready to take this show over?
Yes, sir. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Again, want to thank everybody for being on here. If you're not on and you're watching this as a recording later on, then hopefully you get it. Things will run smoothly. They ran way smooth for the girls' meet, and I would expect no different for the boys. Just as the TC, myself and Bobby Johns will be TCing together. If there's a situation that's going on, he'll try to handle one side of the floor, I'll try to handle the other, but then we'll also go back and forth. First thing I would want to address is just the attention to all the lifters. Please make sure that they stay in the either lifting area or the warm-up area. We want to try and there will be an area up in I forget which direction of the stands there are, but we'll try and keep the lifters up in there as well. If I'm not mistaken here, so in the first session, the lifters will have pink bands, second sessions will be yellow bands, and third will be red. Coaches will be in green. Again, you have all this information in your packet, or you'll have all this information in your packet as well. The biggest one thing I'd like to talk about is the warm-up area. That was kind of a big concern for the girls' meet. We had 9 platforms, but the platforms were, I guess, tightly packed a little bit. So right now we are trying to add an additional warm-up platform area for both sides to make it 10 and actually space them out. Okay. So that hopefully we're able to get that. I know we are in the midst of trying to make sure we have enough weights. There is way more weights that is required for boys meets than there is for girls meets. And we're trying to make sure that we can acquire another bench as well. So please make sure that you are able to use your coaches and lifters etiquette. That was kind of one of the first and foremost things, is trying to make sure that everybody was given the amount of due time of warm up that they needed. But just kind of, 2A staying on their side doing a warm up, 3A staying on their side and warm up, and so on with 1A as well. So try and stay on your side that you're lifting on, but then be courteous of each other as coaches and courteous of each other as lifters. Okay. let's see, in the first session, the 6 o'clock or the 8 a.m. session will be 1A lights and the 3A heavies. Again, this is all in your packet. And session 2, the afternoon session, the 1 o'clock session will be 1A heavies and 2A lights. And in the 3A, in the 6 o'clock session, the third session will be 2A heavies and 3A lights. Again, this is all stuff that is in your packet. Lifters are able to spot lifters, but they need to be within that session. If there's an extenuating circumstance and somebody, I've already had a coach that just had knee surgery, and he, is going to have a difficult time spotting his lifter. If there's a situation where you may need a extra band, please see myself or Bobby or Robbie in regards to that, and we can get that worked out. We are trying to not just pass out coaching bands like candy, but if it's a certain situation that needs to be dealt with, then we'll do that, but it'll all be dealt with on an individual basis, okay? Hot topic, lifter check-in. It is imperative that the lifter or the coach, not necessarily a teammate, but the lifter or the coach walks over to the score table, says his name and checks in. Okay, that is what we are going to count as a check-in. Declarations, when you're standing across the platform and you raise a hand when they call your number, that does not count as a check-in. So the lifter or the coach must walk over to the check-in and check in with the person, with the scorekeepers, okay? We are going to attempt to, or I will attempt to get with the scorekeepers and give some sort of hand gesture. I don't know if that's going to be if we're going to be able to do that, because I haven't been down there just yet to speak with everybody, but that will be something that it will be like a courtesy type of thing and not necessarily a ruling. No coach or lifter will be able to use the excuse of the scorekeeper did not let me know. Okay, but we want to make sure that we use every avenue that we can to make sure that each coach and each lifter knows that they need to check in. So at this point, you make sure that you are doing that. Okay. We'll figure out a jury of appeals. In that sense, 9 times out of 10, there will be no need for a jury of appeals. If we as coaches, we as lifters, if we know what we're doing and we as judges know what we're doing, it should be okay, and we would not need a jury of appeals. If it does come down to that, we will have a group selected, and then if anybody that's on that jury of appeals is involved in the decision, then that person will step out, and then it'll be left up to the remainder of those people. Let's see. Security will be very tight. We pretty much have no control over the security of the RP Funding Center. So please, please, please make sure that you have your wristbands on during when you're trying to get back down on the floor. Okay. The schedule for weigh-ins. Okay. Again, weigh-ins will be Friday night, Friday afternoon. 1A, obviously this is all in your packet. 1A is from 2 to 4. There will be some overlap when 3A starts at 3 o'clock from 3 to 5. And then when 2A starts at 4 to 6, from 4 to 6. Now, one of the reasons why we've done this is when we weigh in, when we have that 2-hour weigh-in, there's usually about 35 to 40 minutes of madness. And then there's about an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half of nothing. So we try to pack it in a little bit to try and keep it a little bit more efficient. So make sure that when your lifter steps up, especially during the overlapping time, that they let them know what class that they're in, and then lift their name and so on. We are asking for openers. Okay, very important that you give openers. Remember, openers can be changed, but we are asking for reasonable openers. If your lifter is going in at 300 pounds, please don't say 135. Okay, that throws other coaches off. as far as trying to count numbers and throw off their warm-up attempts. So please give a reasonable opener. You can change it, okay? You can change it multiple times, but just please give a reasonable opener in that sense, okay? Let's see. Make sure you're in the correct parking area and so on. I am going to ask as well for coaches to do us a favor. You know, I've TC'd multiple meets for districts, multiple meet for regionals. And one of the things that has kind of, I've noticed a lot is, again, coaches etiquette. If there's an issue where you notice something's going on, or another lifter is doing something, or his uniform is out of whack or something like that, please let that coach or that lifter know. Try not to just let the TC know as that lifter is finishing their lift, so their lift can be disqualified, okay? So I'm not asking, I don't think it's you guys' job to police each other, but just in the sense of use some proper common courtesy when it comes to things like, you know, uniform violations or headphones or so on, okay? With that being said, if there's anybody that has, if your lifter has a haircut problem or a hairline problem, whatever the case may be, there should be no head coverings unless it's religious purposes or team issue. So if he steps on with a hat, he will be asked to take that off. Likewise too, earbuds. Okay, now I guess earbuds would be considered as jewelry, but in the same sense, if you have earbuds in and you're listening to music and you cannot hear a press call, so we will ask that earbuds be taken out. Okay, that's not necessarily a in the rule book, but that is something as a TC for safety purposes that we would like to have earbuds taken out of ears. Okay. Belts will be checked. Belts will need to be checked either at weigh-ins or before the meet starts. Any belt that is used that does not have our stamp of approval on it will be deemed as illegal, and the lifter will be disqualified. Even if it's a 2-inch belt, if it has not been checked in, it will need to be, it will be deemed as illegal. Okay. Again, it is the coaches and the lifters' responsibility to please make sure that those belts are checked. Okay. That is, again, the coaches and the lifters' responsibility to make sure that those belts are checked in. Okay. Let's see. As you guys come in, your teams will be allowed in together. As we weigh in, Weightlifting Score has already set up the lifts, the lifters in each classification. Again, it is imperative that you check tonight, right now, as soon as we get in. If you haven't already, please make sure that your lifter is in the right class, which they should be, that they have the right discipline, which they should be. But then when we do weigh-ins, it is imperative, again, to please make sure that your weight, that your lifter's weight is recorded correctly on the sheet of paper and in the computer. So there will be 2 people that are there that will be recording the weights. But we have had in the past, I've seen a district championship of lifter be changed because the weight was inputted the wrong way. Okay. Now that was just a clerical error, but once the meet starts, we will not be changing any weights, even if it's an error. Okay. So it is imperative, again, imperative that you check the weight before the meet starts. Okay. Preferably before you leave that building for weigh-ins, please make sure that the weight is recorded correctly. Okay. Once your lifter steps on and his weight is recorded, watch the scorekeeper type it in, watch the scorekeeper write it on the piece of paper. And then as well, double check on weightlifting score to make sure that it is correct. One of the reasons we have is we have people that are making decisions off of the lifts that they're doing. Even if they're trying to tie people in body weight or in weightlifted and their body weight is tied, but then we change a clerical error and then a lift is changed from there. Okay, so please make sure that everything is correct. Laura, that's in here. Okay. Please make sure that again, hats, beanies, stuff like that. If your lifter has long hair, he's able to put a scrunchie on or something like that. Unless the entire team has a Gainesville High School beanie on, then it's not team issue, then we need to make sure that no head coverings will be allowed unless it's religiously purposed. Let's see. When it comes to shoes, please make sure that shoes are tight and form-fitting. Again, they need to be deemed safe by the TC in that sense. Shoes can be worn. Some shoes don't have laces. Some shoes have dials, so those should be fine as well. Likewise, too, when it comes to with the scores and the lifts that are reported into the scoring system. Okay, once your lifter has gone, again, always double check to make sure that things have been entered in correctly. Just quite frankly, sometimes, I am not a great typer. So things can accidentally be fat fingered, they call it sometimes, where one button is pushed over another. So once your lifter has gone, please, again, double check with all the electronic scoring that we have. It's open. And we want you to use it for its purpose. Okay. Again, guys, I don't want to read everything out to you. I'm not going to go, over the rule book, over all the rules in the rule book. At this point, we should all know them. Again, a couple of things I just wanted to hit home with, especially with the check-in. We will have 3 judges. Majority of the judges are USAW certified. All head judges are. So they will be proficient in being able to judge these lifts. In some districts and regions, they may have been only 1 judge. And if there was a bad clean, the lifter may have been told to drop the weight. But at this point, we'll have 3 judges, and all judges will make their judgments independently. So the lift needs to carry on. Now, the head judge is allowed to stop the lift if it is deemed unsafe or we think there's going to be an injury. For safety purposes, the judge can stop the lift. Okay. With that said, with the head judge's responsibility, it is the judge that is supposed to ascertain what is on the bar. Okay. So if a weight is misloaded, we want to try and correct it for everyone that has a misloaded weight. But once a weight has been made at the correct weight, those misloaded weights that have been reported will have to stick. Again, compared to reviewing the touchdown after the extra point. Okay. So coaches, please double check to make sure that your lifters do have the right weight on. Make sure your lifters are doing the same. But once again, it is the judge's responsibility. All right. But we all are humans. We all make mistakes. So please make sure that that we're able to do that. I'm going to have a judges Zoom meeting tomorrow or on Thursday or tomorrow. And I'm going to kind of tell them the same thing. We want to make sure that nothing is misloaded. But if it is, please make sure that we handle it the right way. And we will try to make the best decision that we can for those lifters that do so. But let's try and catch those as soon as we possibly can. Okay. If there is an issue okay, especially with a misloaded weight. It is imperative that you stop that platform immediately, okay? Talk with the head judge, let him know that you think that there's a misloaded weight and it needs to be stopped immediately. We can't go back 5 minutes, 20 minutes to a lift that may have happened and then try and figure out if the weight was correct or not. So try and stop that platform immediately. Just mention it to that judge, hey, you think the weight's off? And then we'll go from there, okay? With that being said, please speak to the judges in the way that you would want to be spoken to. I can't tell you how many times I've seen grown men get their feelings hurt because they've approached a judge in the wrong way, or the judge has approached the judge and coach in the wrong way, okay? So please try and be respectful. Please try and be polite. If there's any head coaches that would like to volunteer as judges, please let me know, okay? It's not always easy to sit in that seat for that long, okay? So please make sure you handle yourself in the right manner, which leads us into unsportsmanlike conduct and behavior. If a coach is not handling himself, then he will be removed. If the lifter is not handling himself in the right way, they will be removed, especially when it comes to profanity. I can tell you that it's astonishing how many times I've been at meets and lifters are still getting DQ'd over language. There will be no leg to stand on. Once that judge tells me or Coach Johns or Robbie that a lifter has used profanity, that lifter is DQ'd. Now, I always try and make sure that the judge that they 100% heard what they heard. But once they've told me 9 times out of 10, most of the time, 9.5 times out of 10, there's no going back. Okay, so if you have someone that is a little hot-headed or speaks a certain way, maybe have him lift with a mouthpiece in, okay? But there will be no leg to stand on when it comes to profanity. The lifter will be out, okay? There are a couple of questions here. Sorry, I can't see very well, so when do we send the starting lift? You will give your openers when you weigh in, okay? That's when you will give your openers, when you weigh in. What energy will consider head coverings? Okay, so again, the head coverings is a safety issue. Okay, so it can be it needs to be a team issue. It's an equipment thing. So if someone wants to wear his University of whatever hat, okay, again, that's not team issue. So we're trying to keep everything uniform and in line. If he's got something on to keep his hair back, then hopefully it's either religiously related or it is team issue. Okay. Are there any other questions? That was way too easy there. Any other questions? Again, this is recorded. Most of you guys know what's going on because it's the same format pretty much as the girls' meet. It went rather smoothly, and hopefully this will go just as well. I don't know if Coach Johns, if he's able to speak. Coach Johns, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. Great job, Coach.
Okay.
Deke, let's just touch on real quick. Gatorade will be provided on the platform, or there in the arena floor, also in the warm-up area, Gatorade and water. And then if you want to touch on the coach's hospitality real quick.
Okay, so there will be a coach's hospitality room. I can't remember if like the direction north, south, east, or west, but it was in the warm-up area. So if you are in the if you are on the platform, on the lifting platform, the competition platform, and you're facing the warm-up area, it was through the partition on the left side going up. Okay.
Correct.
So
upstairs.
Yeah, upstairs. So I don't remember if this is south end or east end or so on. So but yeah, it was in that sense.
It's on the same end as the warm-up platform, D.
Yeah, same end as a warm-up platform. Shoulder braces. I guess I'd have to kind of see what kind of brace are you talking about. If there was an injury, it can't have any metal in it or anything like that. I know Kines tape is a big thing. It cannot be covering the elbow. Okay. So please make sure that any kind of shoulder brace or anything doesn't have any metal, and it's not covering the elbow. Our coaches bands, I think it's one band for every 5 lifters, if I'm not mistaken.
Eek, I got that. I'll
Okay.
answer that one. That is that's in the email that was sent out, but it is for 1 to 2 qualifiers, you get 1 coach's credential, 3 to 10, 2 coaches credentials, 11 to 15, 3 coaches credentials. If there's any concerns, see us in regards to getting a spotter or somebody down on the floor. We'll see what we can do.
Okay. The 2-minute rule. Okay. Again, the rule has changed. Again, we used to do 3 minutes and 2 minutes, or 2 minutes and 3 minutes when you're following yourself. Now it is 2 minutes and 2 minutes. Okay. Once the weight has changed, you've declared and checked in, that's when your clock starts. Okay. If you change, you get 30 seconds where the first 30 seconds that you're allowed to change your weights. Once you have, if you use that time to change your weight, if you're the same lifter, then the clock does not reset. So take, for instance, it starts, the bar is loaded, you've checked in, you have 2 minutes. Let's say at 1 minute and 45 seconds, you ask them for a different weight. If you're the same lifter, you only have that minute 45 seconds left. It does not restart to a new clock. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Thank you, Coach Wood. Appreciate it. Again, if any other questions, that was way too easy. Again, it's only 5:57. This is real quick. Let's see if you have 2 coaches and self-assistant. So again, if you have 2 coaches and an assistant, hopefully that means you have 15 lifters, I think it is. So your bands will be based off of how many lifters you have. Okay. Again, 2 minutes and 2 minutes for that. Okay. Please remember that right now we are on Eastern time, and Lakeland is on Eastern time. For anybody just had a question about that, for anybody that is wondering when weigh-ins and so on. Okay.
Deke, you're becoming professional at this, man. I mean, this is we're 28 minutes in and knocking it out.
I'm confused. I'm going to start stuttering and repeat myself. That's when my wife gets mad at me.
How much did you pay Coach Wood for that comment?
When will warm-up start for the 8 a.m. session? So the warm-ups will start. See, we'll have weigh-ins from 6 to 7. And I think, let's see, weigh-ins from 6 to 7. The gates for spectators will open at 7 o'clock. So we'll say warm-ups will be at 7 o'clock. Okay.
Yep.
Warm-ups will be at 7.
We opened warm-ups at 7 for the girls.
Okay. Warm-ups will be at 7. And then national anthem, again, this will all be in your packet. National anthem will be at 7:45, and first lift will go up at precisely 8 o'clock. Let's see. We receive bands for weigh-ins. Yes, your bands will be in your coach's packet when you check in. Okay, so please, when you check in, before your lifters step on the scale, or before you leave that building, make sure you have your coach's packet. All of the information that was emailed to you will be in that packet, plus your pins and your bands. Let's see. What can be worn to keep the hair out of the face? If you have any kind of scrunchie or anything like that, a headband, I would think that would be fine. Again, we would like for it to be team issued. Is kind of skirting a fine line, but again, we're trying to prevent from stepping on the platform as a fashion show. Okay, so I get it. You know, you have long dreads or long hair, and you know you have something that holds it back. That's fine, but you know it should not be a fashion show. Again, we're looking at safety things. You know, one thing over other, ball caps versus do rags. Where we don't want to have to get into that. You know what's considered appropriate and not appropriate. So we want to try and if we eliminate as much of it as we can, then it's not much of an issue. But obviously, it would be a safety issue if a lifter has hair in his face. So you know, you can put pre-wrap on and all kinds of things. Again, something that you just unsure of, just see me, Bobby, or Robbie before the meet, and it should be we can figure it out from there. Okay. As of right now, yes, we do have enough judges for all 3 sessions. But whoever it is that you have in mind, if you will you can message me, that you can never have enough backups. That the list that I've made, I first sent it out on Monday, and it wasn't 5 minutes before that list changed. And it's literally has changed every day. It's actually changed in the last 5 minutes, it's changed in the last hour. So even I'll probably send it out to the judges tonight, and then it will change again tomorrow. So just FYI. So yeah, if anybody that has a judge that is especially USAW certified or not, please let me know. If I can't work them in for this meet, I will 100% get their information and get it out to them for the meets next year. Are we doing Robbie, are we doing the national anthem for all 3 sessions, or I think it's just the first, if I'm not mistaken?
Just the first session.
Yep. Okay. So national anthem would just be the first session. They did have an athletic trainer on site as well. We'll get the name of that person at some point. I think we have to remember that the athletic trainer will be there for injury purposes, and not, not for massages or just a spat job on your ankle or something. If there's an injury and you need it taken care of, that's fine. But if your lifter just needs his wrist tape, try your best to bring your tape from your school. I don't want the trainer is not on. So can you imagine all these guys that all of a sudden need their wrist tape? Okay, so there probably will not be enough tape for that sense. So please, if you're able to do that, bring your own tape from school in that sense. The 2 minutes. So we talked about the 2 minute rule. Okay, so if your lifter is getting ready to go, hopefully the judge has either they'll have their phones or a stopwatch and they're holding it up so you can see. Please feel free to let that judge know, hey, let me know at a minute, let me know at 30 seconds and so on. But I will say this, if you are counting down, if your seconds are counting down and you're on the snatch or the clean, the bar must clear your knees to be rendered as an attempt, okay? If the bar is still on the floor and your lifter is locked and loaded, hands on the bar, that would still be a no lift, okay? So please make sure that you understand that lift needs to be clearing the knees before that time runs out. Likewise on the bench press, that bar needs to be off the rack and the spotter must have their hands off of that bar before that clock runs out. If that clock runs out and that spotter still has his hands on the bar, technically that is a no lift, okay? So please keep an eye on your time. If you're cutting it close, please ask the judge to let you know. I don't think the judge is going to count down from 5 to 10 seconds and so on. But if you want a minute call and a 30-second call, please feel free to politely ask that judge to do so. Okay. Any other questions? Again, Robbie, Bobby, anything else?
No, I think you've hit hit everything. So looking forward to everybody, seeing everybody on Friday or Saturday, and having the boys weightlifting state championships be a success for you and your student athletes.
Oh, last thing, Danny Camargo will be there as well. I've mentioned, I want to say that I think almost 40 out of our 48 judges are USAW certified. So they will be able to use these totals that go on to the FWF state championship. Danny Camargo will be there for weigh-ins, and he will be there for the state during the meet itself. Please speak with him. And if in regards of any of that information, he'll have a link. And I think it'll be on Weightlifting Score as well. If anybody needs it, I think they're going to put it up on the Jumbotron. You're able to, I think you must be a USAW member first. The lifter must be a USAW member, and then let him know that you're interested in doing that. If, let's say, you are not a USAW member this second, before you leave on Saturday, if you are a member by the time you leave, I think he's still able to do so. If I'm not mistaken, again, don't take my word for it. Please make sure you speak to Danny. He will be there at weigh-ins and at the meet.
All right, Deke, I think we've
right.
think we're done here. All the questions, I don't see any coming in the last couple minutes. We want to wish everybody safe travels to the RP Funding Center, and we look forward to seeing you all Friday afternoon. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Deke. And on behalf of the FHSAA, I want to wish all y'all the best of luck this weekend, and look forward to seeing y'all in Lakeland.
All right. Have a good day, guys.